Please find a comfortable seat. If you have a cushion or a block to sit on, that could be helpful. If you're comfortable sitting on the ground, that works too. Cross your legs, close your eyes, lift your chest. Broaden your elbows just a bit so the ribs have an opportunity to broaden. And when the ribs can broaden, the breath can get a little bit longer or a little bit deeper, a little more lengthy. And notice even the way your eyes are closed is a way to tune in to your own energy. So notice if they're kind of tense or sealed really tightly, and I invite you to just kind of soften, you know, like you're looking at a beautiful sunset, or you're just kind of gazing up the horizon. There's a softness even in the back of the back area of your eyes. And within that softness, when we can soften the edges of the body, we have this really cool opportunity to broaden the inside of the body, right? So again, as you inhale, just notice this broadening of the chest and even an inner broadening of the mind. Where the attention and the steadiness of the practice allows us to evolve beyond where we were before. In a simple way, the practice helps us to improve our senses, our sense of smell, taste, sound, hearing, all of these things, all the senses become more sensitive in a really sweet way, so that our experience, just our simple experience of life, is fuller. I invite you to stay with your breath and focus on your low belly. Create a little hug in and up. So there's that bandha, there's the sense of not completely closing off your tummy, not sucking it in so much that you feel restricted, but just a little pull in and up of the low belly that will give you a sense of creating a container, a healthy container of your body. And then from the low part, from that low belly, a little squeeze, let there be more of a rise up through your skull. And you might feel a bit taller. And taking 3 more full deep breaths, you guys, before we start to move, really widening and spreading out the space of your own lungs. And please, I invite you to place your hands at your heart center. Anjali Mudra. Let the head bow and give yourself a sweet intention today, this Tuesday, this sweet, sweet day as we embark upon the beginning of a simple practice. What is your intention just for you? And holding that intention in your heart, keep it there even as you lift your arms up, lift your chin up, and stretch super long through your whole body. And like you're rock climbing, reach one hand a little bit higher for an imaginary hold, and then the other. And so it kind of becomes a little side bend, but especially as we warm up, thinking of the dynamism of the stretch. So the hip roots down and the ribs enliven up. Just kind of reaching left to right, or left and then right. Let your head tip, let the neck open, and maybe letting any little kinks or clicks of the neck start to release by way of intentional movement. Bring the arms way out in front of you, let the head tuck down, and eventually bring your hands to your legs or your lap, whatever you can, and stretch the back of your body backwards. So reaching back side to side. And then inhale to open like a cow pose. You can hold onto the legs, use that as resistance to lift and stretch up. And a big breath out as you round back in. A couple more like that, cat-cow in a seated pose to begin. Inhale to open and elongate and get full in the front body. Exhale to round, tuck, and curl. And one more time, inhale to open, stretch fully. And exhale round, give yourself a little tuck and curl. Cool, let's find our way to all fours. So taking yourself forward onto the hands, onto the knees. Place your knees a little bit behind your hips and your hands a little wider than your shoulders. Broaden your elbows. Start to move. As you exhale, sit the hips back and wide towards the heels, keeping the tailbone up. And then as you inhale, keep the hips backward as you pull your ribs forward and up. Opening up the throat, opening up your belly. Yeah, just go back and forth a few times and try to build an action in the movement. So it's not just moving for the sake of it, but it really is an enlivening of the back body, a waking up of the pelvic floor, the back of your rib cage, the back of the skull. Cool. Then get a little more creative on your own. Start to go side to side, maybe a little cat-cow. Adding some of those neck movements that feel delightful, and you can address any of those little spots that for you are interfering with an open neck. Yeah. So you guys curl your toes, lift your hips up, downward facing dog, do some stretching of the backs of your legs, pedal up the heels, lift the tailbone, let the hips twist left to right, a little arcing motion of the pelvic floor. Well, then we're going to go dynamic movement. So please bend the knees, swivel them to the left a little bit, and the hips tip over to the right. Let the head tip to the right, and then lift your left leg in the air, okay? And then start to pump that leg in the air. So you're going to push and pull. Very similar to riding a bicycle, yeah. And the leg doesn't necessarily have to be high, like I'm showing. It can be pretty low. It's more about getting the glute muscle high, the pelvic floor wide, and then move the pelvis so far back that your belly stretches long. Yeah, 2 more motions there. Yeah, nice, Kyle. We'll take that left foot and place it in between the hands. Send the right heel in and slide your hands back. Put your left elbow on the left leg. Put your right hand on your right knee. Right knee bends like this. You're going to narrow the knee in. And as the knee narrows, widen the hips back. So I'll show you from a posterior chain view, the hips are really getting some space. Good, now keep that and then reach the right arm up and overhead. Do a little pulse here as you exhale, bend the knees, glide the groins and the hips back like a squat. Keep the hips back, inhale, lift and lengthen, gaze more forward through the central channel of the body. Couple more pulses, exhale, root the hips, widen the pelvis. Inhale, gaze forward. It's a little back bend feel, a safe back bend, not to overarch your spine, just to articulate space. Exhale, root, dynamic power. And inhale to lengthen. Cool, put your hands on the ground. Step your left foot back. And we'll switch sides. So from the center, swivel the knees to the right, let both feet swivel with. Lift your right leg and do some bicycle movements. So kick and pull, pump, pump, pump. It's very similar to how you would ride a bicycle if you're going uphill slow. Right? All muscles are recruited. Pump and squeeze. Tip your head to the left ear to the left shoulder. Cool, you guys, and then this time step through, right foot forward to lunge. Left heel spins all the way in, and glide back, put your right elbow on your right leg, and put your left hand on your left knee. Bend that knee, so it's different than our traditional warrior stuff, I know. Narrow the knee, and then widen the sitting bone. Even try this, take your left hand, let's go a little at it on this side, put your hand on the hip, and just lift it. Yeah, that's what you're trying to get at. You're gonna keep that lifted, keep the hips rooted, and then reach the arm over your head. On your exhales, get the hips to move even more back. And on your inhales, reach the ribs further away without losing the rootedness. And so you pulse with the breath, and it's a combination of steadiness, of firmness of the muscles, but also ease. So there's not really an overworking. Yeah. There's this dynamic, if you will, upliftment of the pelvic floor that will hold you up. Yeah, nice, Melissa. Last breath. And coming back to center and stepping back to your downward dog. After you place the hands, lift the tailbone high. Take a few breaths here. On the exhale, bring your knees to the ground. Point your feet, sit back on your heels. Take your hands to the back of your neck. I'll get a little closer to the camera here. Holding the back of your neck, I want you to just pull the tissues forward and up. And lay back. And let the front of the throat, like the Adam's apple area, just let it open all the way up. With your fingers, massage into all the tissues. And it's in these curves, right, these natural curves of the body, especially the spine, not only that we find relief and release, but really strong power of the body, much like the curve of an oceanic wave, right? The power resides in the curvature versus a flattening. So you just lay way back and you let it open, let the throat open. It might feel a little vulnerable or a little weird to open your throat that much, but it's so good for us. Now check it, as you bring your hands back out in front of you, can you maintain an openness in your throat, right? And I don't mean an overarched neck, just an openness. Come forward into all fours. Come onto your hands and knees again. Practice keeping your throat open. Exhale, sit the hips back. Inhale, pull the ribs forward. Do that 3 more times. Before we go to down dog, I invite you to keep that open space of the throat. Basically, a bit fighting the sometimes tendency for the head to collapse, for the head to fall down, right? Really working, yeah, good, you guys. Posterior chain, posterior muscle energy. Cool, let's keep moving, curl the toes, keep the throat open as you sit the hips up and back. And again, swivel the knees to the left, push your hips to the right, lift your left leg, open the pelvis. Yeah, good, then bring the head to the right, right ear, right shoulder, and then dome the left hand. Let the left hand come just to the tips of the fingers. Left leg straightens, push through the heel, opening the left knee all the way. Stretch the pelvic floor wide, inhale. Exhale, step through, bring the left foot between your hands. Spin the right heel down, rise all the way up. Let's do a more traditional warrior 2 on the left side. Broaden your arms out, gaze to the front. But again, even in this warrior 2, open up that throat. Yeah. So it becomes as much as it is about the physical, can my muscles do this, as it is this emotional side, this energetic, this openness of the throat being a evaluation of self. Flip your left palm up, reverse the warrior, allow the left ribs to rise. The head, again, can tip way back. Or one more option is you're here for a little bit, turn and look back at your right foot. And the neck gets a really nice stretch in that variation. Breathe. And then we'll put the left hand on the earth, right arm overhead. Side angle, deep stretch. If this is a bit much on your hips instead place the elbow on the knee like we did on our first round of lunges. And then twist, right shoulder back, and breathe. Last breath here. Now as we go back to downward dog, watch how you go. Keep the throat open. Place the hands. Spin the right heel up, tailbone on the rise as you step back. So it's so light. Yeah, now let's pump it. Bend your knees and pull forward. Do that a couple more times. So we call it crouching cat, and it's a dynamic movement. So the heels are working down, and the belly's working long, and the effort is more upward rising of the pelvis. Yeah, good, Kyle. Knees right, tip the heels to the left, swivel. Lift the right leg, open the hips. So you're balancing on that one side. Bring the right hand to the tips of your fingers. It's a dome. The hand can even move forward so the right rib's open. And then extension, take that right leg all the way long. Push the hips back, take the hips wide. Woo-hoo. Nice balance. And then coming to the lunge, warrior two style, glide the hand, or the foot rather, through. Spin the back heel down and make your way up. Stretching the arms out wide. Gazing forward towards the right hand. Yeah, pump up the energy of the heart. Open the throat. Again, notice that sometimes tendency for the chin to tuck. Right? Now, a lot of times we do that because that's how we focus, right? When we think about things, we tend towards chin tuck. But ultimately, the freedom of the breath, right? You'll notice it right away. As soon as the chin lifts a little bit, the breath, it's so much more fluid. Take the right palm up, reverse your warrior. Get so expansive through the right side. And then adding the next stretch, should you choose, turn and look back at your left foot. Let that neck get really open on the right side. So good. And then reaching down, touch the earth for more challenge. Right hand to the earth. Otherwise, you can put your elbow on your knee again. And we'll go full stretch, left side body long. Once the stretch is found, create a bit of a twist of the ribs up towards the sky. Take some of the effort out of the neck. There's a little bit there, but not all of it. And use more of your hips and your pelvis. Cool, you guys. And as we transition, watch how you go. Try to go light. So the hands land, but they don't bang on the ground, right? The heel, the left foot lifts, tailbone's high as you step back. And then we'll pump it a few times again. Pumping and squeezing. Imagine like you're on the top of a building and your fingertips are at the very edge of this high building. And you're trying to gaze over the edge. That's the pump, yeah. So the hips continue to root backward even as you're peering over the edge to see what's on the other side. Cool. Next time you pull forward, put your knees down softly. Point your feet, walk your hands back, put them onto your hips, stand up upon your knees all the way up. Wrap the elbows a little more back. Take your thumbs and do a couple traces just so you can learn about the sides of your body. I think I did this last week. From the hips to the shoulders or the hips to the armpits, that's like priority. We want to get that long. Then start to lean back, activate the feet. You could even curl the toes under. That'll make this a little easier. Okay, and we'll go left side first, so twist to the left hand to the left heel. Okay, and again, the feet could be pointed for a little more challenge. Right arm up to the sky. We'll take 5 breaths. On the exhales, root the hips, and on the inhale, rise through the ribs. Very similar to climbing that ladder. Let the head tip to the left. To switch sides, sit back a little bit, get the power of the glutes on the rise. Arc over to the right side, right hand to the right heel, left hand to the sky, and reach and breathe. Allow the head to tip to the right as the left side lungs, those are going skyward as the hips root downward. Back to center. Bring your hands to your heart. Let's all do this one. So let's all curl our toes under, no matter who we are, and sit back on our heels. And you might bring the knees a little more narrow for that. So it's a really deep foot stretch. The pinky toes like to not participate in this. So use your hands for a moment, take them out of prayer, and just make sure the pinky toes are hooked as well. Okay, so trying to get a full stretch of the feet. Back to center, hands to heart, 5 breaths. If this is easy for you, if you're one of those humans with really open feet, your next challenge would be to stay in the pose, but bring your heels a little more narrow, okay? The more narrow the feet, the more narrow the heels will up level the challenge. If this is enough for you, just stick with this. Let the eyes softly open. We'll come to all fours, place the hands down. Point the feet, do a little shake out, a little tap tap with the pointed feet. And then curl the toes, lift your hips, downward dog. Bend the knees a little bit, swivel the knees to the left, arc the hips to the right, and let the left ribs rise. Then lift the left leg up. Bring it behind you on the ground. Most of you know this more as a wild thing shape, left foot behind you. Left hand in the air, swivel and open your belly. Open and reach, exhale, sit low, hips towards heels. Inhale, rise high, ribs away from the hips. Try a couple, it's like doing squats in your wild thing. Exhale, root, inhale, rise. Belly stays open, your hips stay creased. And it's like you could jump. There's this power behind that gives rise to the shape. Again, warrior 2, we'll step on through. Bring the hips center, left foot forward, right heel lands, rise on it. Yeah, good. Once you're here, straighten the front leg, triangle pose. Push your right hip back, reach your left arm forward. Bring the left hand towards the ankle. Maybe a yoga block or a water bottle if you want a little more support. Open the right arm high. Take a few breaths. Nice. The gaze may be upward towards the hand if that creates a lot of excessive tension in your neck. Then I'd recommend gazing a little more forward instead, or even down at the base foot. Cool, you guys put your right hand on your right hip. Ready? Bend both knees. Half moon, glide the left hand forward, right leg upward, balancing on the left leg. Right hand skyward. You can stay here. This is a bit more of a traditional half moon, which is totally cool. I'm going to bowspring it a little bit for those of you that want to play. Optional. So get the left hand just on the tips of the fingers and slide it out to the side a few inches. So the left hand is not in front of your left foot, it's more out to the angle. Now the right hand and the right knee are going to touch. So bend the right knee and bring it way forward. Way forward. Yes, it's like a squat. Bring the hand and the knee together. Push them into each other a lot. So it's not a light touch, it's a push. Push the knee forward, sit the hips back, and then open your booty. Open the pelvic floor. Good. Now here's how we all go into handstand. Place the hands on the ground, framing the front of your space or the front of your mat. Hands flat. Open the knee. It's a dog at a fire hydrant feeling. Knee out to the side. Hop, switch. Hop, switch. Left to right, right to left. And the pelvic bowl is open as you're switching sides. Yeah, if you'd like to use the wall, turn around, have the pelvis or facing the wall, you can do these. Otherwise, it's fun to try it. It's a bit of a cartwheel feeling, better said too, as you hop. Nice, you guys. Wherever you're at, let's take a deep squat, turn your toesies out. Sit down low. The heels may lift if that gives you a little more ease. Hands to your heart, elbows inside your knees. Good work, you guys. And take 5 full breaths, acknowledging whatever was accomplished. Letting the bowl of the hips have a nice rooted, earthy quality, and the crown of the head skyward and evolving. Padangustasana, so we'll touch lightly, stretch the legs straight, swivel the heels out, grab your big toes with your peace fingers. You can even go a little pigeon toe, that helps too. Inhale, lengthen halfway. And exhale, forward bend. Elbows go wide, head can release, ribs can release. And another 5 breaths here. Just be thoughtful not to overextend the knees or overlock the knees. Now, a little bend is a lot safer, especially if you're of the category of person that maybe has some knee sensitivities. I'd really recommend being thoughtful in any yoga practice to not lock the knees back. Final moment here. And let's curl up slow. So undo those fingers, bend the knees, squeeze the low belly in, get your bandhas going, and curl up heavy, heavy, heavy. Restacking, restacking, restacking. Once you are standing, sweep the arms out like a star pose, get real big, opening the heart. Mountain pose, arms come down, step the feet either closer together, or if you prefer all the way together, that's cool, right? Depending on your preference. Palms forward, collarbones open, 5 breaths here, mountain pose. A pose of steadiness, a pose of self-articulation of what really, where lies the balance? Forward, back, left and right. Where may there be a discovery of more uniform tone or uniform steadiness of the center? Nice, you guys will bend the knees for a little more dynamic stuff. Put your right hand on the mid-right thigh here. You're gonna hold the meat of the quadricep, okay? You're gonna push that down and back. And don't be afraid to untuck your tailbone as you do that. Cool. That's step 1. Step 2, take your left hand, hold the side of your head like this. Yeah, cool. As you hold the side of the head, narrow the elbow, and as you tip your head to the right ear to the right shoulder, I'd like for you to glide your left ribs away from your hips. And then as you exhale, sit down a bit deeper, like a challenging chair pose. And as you inhale, arc yourself up and over to the right, more so, opening your left ribs. And try that a couple more times. Exhale, sit deeper, soften the ribs a little bit. Inhale, dynamic arc up and over to the right. Using the right arm as you go. Continue with your own breath. So you want to think of yourself, it's not only opening the left side. Yeah, good, you guys. It's arcing up and over the right. Yeah, and we're doing it a little excessively here, but this can inform your deeper back bends, your kind of everything we do in yoga. If we learn how to articulate length and strength in balance, we're in such a safe place to do some crazy fun poses. Inhale, come back to the center, stand up, mountain pose. Take the arms down, and then take both arms up. Star pose type of shape. Keep the arms up high, and then reach one higher than the other. Very similar to how we started practice. Let the ribs glide, let the ribs rise. One rib higher, one, and then the other higher. It'll feel like a bit of a side bend. But again, it's not so much about how sideways can you go. It's about how high can you go. Just like when we climb, how much can I reach into the length of the belly? Nice, guys. Let's try the other side. So now the left hand will go to the left mid-thigh area. You squat like chair pose. But check it. Notice my glutes are going up. They're not squeezing down. Okay, that's important. Right hand holds the side of your head. Wrap the elbow narrow. Now open the right side of your ribs as you arc. On the exhale, get the hips more back, down and wide. On your inhale, lift from the right base, ribs, and arc. And then you go with your breath. The exhale roots you. The inhale arcs you. It's a crescent pose, so it's like a crescent arc, right? But instead of stacking the body, it's a different idea. It's dynamic flow, it's bowspring, and it's curved, it's full in the heart, and the reach of the hips and the ribs is oppositional. Let the head tip and arc. One more breath. Good, you guys. And then we'll inhale, rise back up to mountain pose, allow the arms to release, shoulder rolls, inhale forward and up, exhale back and down. So if you're new to some of this dynamic stuff, what can sometimes happen is the neck muscles try to do all that pulsing. Eventually, you'll educate the low body to do more work. Do some neck circles now, take the chin around as well. Eventually, we'll start to discover how this inner body can be more effective and the neck doesn't have to strain so much. And it's a pretty cool place to live when our neck doesn't have to do all the work. On your own next inhale, raise your arms up high, full stretch. Let's do a sun salutation. On your exhale, forward fold, hinging at the hips, slowly bringing the hands to touch your earth. On the inhale, half lift, you can touch your shins or you keep the fingertips on the ground. Exhale, chaturanga, step or hop to the back of your mat. Bend your elbows, don't be shy to use your knees like I'm showing. Inhale, upward dog, full stretch of the front body, and exhale takes you to your downward dog. Take a couple breaths. Maybe pedaling to the feet, or maybe just a little bit of stillness to tune in. Cool. Again, dynamic. We're going to bend the knees, swivel them to the right, let the tailbone arc to your left. Lift the right leg, go high with the pelvis. Think higher with your pelvis than even the leg. Booty, booty back. Take the foot behind you in space, wild thing. Swivel, right hand lifts, open the heart towards ceiling. On the exhale, sit down, crease the hips, hips towards heels. Inhale, rise back up, open to the full stretch. Couple more like that. Exhale, root the hips, yeah. Inhale, rise the ribs. Allow the space to articulate even in the smallest little vertebrae of the spine. Open through the neck, open through the ribs, open through the pelvis. We go warrior two again, so we'll come back to center, touch lightly. Right foot between hands, left heel spins down, rise up. Stretch your arms out wide. On an inhale, extend the front leg. Reach your right hand forward, triangle pose, touch down. You can go to the ankle, grab a yoga block or any kind of support. And pour the chest more open, take a few breaths. Consider the width of the ribs as something to maintain here. Left to right, front to back, even up to down. It's helpful you think of the ribs like a balloon. There's a continual broadening on all sides. And we'll go left hand to your left hip, look down to the earth, half moon. Bend the knees, give yourself a little launch off the back leg. As the right hand lands, the left leg will lift. Left hand you can eventually lift, very similar to triangle pose, or I guess basically the same, left arm to the sky. This is super cool if you want to do a more traditional shape. I get it, super good. If you want to try a little more bowspring, bend the knee and think of it like a squat in the left leg. So the more the knee comes forward towards the left hand, push your hips behind you more. So it's a pelvic floor opener. Yeah, now create resistance. That's a big part of this. Soften your toes. Avoid over-efforting on the edges of you. Get more action in the hips. Push the knees forward, get the hips back. This becomes the inversion. So now, as you desire, use a wall if you wish. Place the hands at the front of the space. Open the knee more out to the side and hop switch. So you switch kick. Switch kick. And you catch air in the pelvis. One of my favorite analogies is like your pelvis or like your glutes are two big parachutes. And the more you open them, the more space you have to catch yourself. So the groins hollow back even as you hop. Nice, Kyle. It's not about sticking a handstand. It might be, right? But it's more about Can I keep an awareness of my whole even as I'm upside down? All right, deep squat again. This time we'll keep the hands on the ground and go a little side to side like so, letting the hips glide. Working out any kinks of the hips. And Padahastasana, so forward fold, turn the feet parallel as you straighten your legs. As the feet come parallel, slide your hands below you from the front. So if possible, even if you have to bend your knees, try to get the toes to touch the creases of your wrists. And then keep them there as you do a half lift. Pull the ribs forward, inhale. And then exhale, bend your elbows a whole bunch and take a nice deep forward fold. Allow the head to dangle heavy, maybe even shake out the neck just a little bit. Again, that neck area being a priority for all of us to reduce tension. We'll slowly unhook, curl up one vertebrae at a time, bend the knees, squeeze the little belly. Eventually you'll stand. Please don't rush yourself. Eventually star pose shape, let the arms come up real high. And exhale, mountain pose. Step your feet more narrow. Arms by your sides. Close your eyes. Take a couple breaths. Okay, balance time. Take the right leg up. Open the hands. Tree pose. Take the right foot, place it inside your calf. Otherwise, use your right hand, pull it to your upper inner thigh. If you like a half lotus, if that's a safe part of your practice and it doesn't bother your knee, please do so. Hands come to the heart. Maybe the arms reach up to the sky. Position the eyes. Again, just like the beginning of class, find a steady drishti, a focal point, whatever is in your space, something the eyes can soften onto. And then enliven the breath. Push the ribs big. Every inhale, increase the volume. Every exhale, work on the bandhas, the squeeze of the low belly. Final breath. And we'll switch sides as you come to the earth. Try to land really lightly with that right foot so you're not banging the ankle down. Yeah. And we'll switch. Take the left foot up. And the calf is great. The upper thigh is great too. Just squeeze whatever you choose. Don't put your foot on the inside of your knee. And create whatever arms, hands to the heart, arms to sky. Final breath. And releasing slow. As the left foot lands, we'll go back to the right side for dancer's pose. Open the right palm, lift the right foot up, kick the foot into your hand, narrow the knees, left arm high on the inhale. Exhale, kick back, hinge at the hips. You don't have to go excessively far. Make it more about narrowing that right knee in, keeping the hips healthy and square. Open and stretch the belly. Kind of like how Wild Thing feels, right? When we flipped over and the belly is super stretched because the body's working in healthy opposition to itself. Tone the core. One more breath here. And we'll switch sides. So as you release for healthy brain activity, we'll go directly right to left. Open the left hand. Kick your left foot up. Excuse me. Reach the right arm high. Inhale. And exhale, hinge at the hips. And so it's this important action that, any standing neutral yoga asana, the inner thighs have a spiraling back. There's this movement of not external rotation, but internal. So specifically that left leg right now, it'll want to externally rotate. So you work that narrow in, narrow knee, wide left glute. Yeah, narrow knee, wide left glute. And then coming back to center. And exhale to release. Good. Check it out. I'm going to show what we'll do next. If you can use a wall or a table or a couch will work for this next one. So check me out and then you'll do it. So we'll start in downward dog with your feet touching the wall in just a moment. Okay. Then you're going to shorten your dog. So instead of being super wide like a normal dog, you'll walk your hands in a little bit. Okay. You'll put one foot up. You'll put the other foot up. Okay. This is a cool place to work. Otherwise, you're going to work on the hips moving like we did earlier, side to side, maybe even safely lifting a hand. Okay, let's give it a go. And if you don't have a wall, this you can use a couch nearby, really anything you can walk your feet up, even if it's not as high as a wall. So I'm going to watch you guys just so I can see. And if this isn't in your practice, just watch and enjoy. Gallery view is a good way to check everybody out. Yeah, that's it. And it really is this creasing of the hips and a widening of the pelvis, like I was speaking to a lot of today, will help there to be a lighter load on the joints. Yeah, Kyle. Yeah, and the ribs arc, and the head can even tip away so that any strain or any intensity of inverting does not just all go into your neck. There's this full body spectrum, yeah, of the inversion. We'll hold it for about a few more breaths. If you need a break, please give yourself a break. Nice, Melissa. Can like hear your laughter on the inside. I love it. Yeah. Okay, so let's lower to the floor. And let's do a little bit more of a traditional core. Face the wall. Facing the wall, have a seat. And find your boat pose. Okay, facing the wall, boat pose, arms up. Hover, hold here. We'll take 5 breaths. 4, 3, 2. Good, cross your legs, handstand to the wall. So you bring your hands to the wall that's right in front of you. Bring your legs back up and take a little kick, hop up. If this is a little much, repeat the previous inversion that we did where instead of hopping up to the wall, you guys walked up. 5, 4, 3, push the earth away, 2. Good, boat pose, come down lightly. Return to your seat, facing the wall. Legs up, arms up. You can do it. I'm with you. Here we are. 5, 4, 3, 2, and a handstand. Again, either hands in front of you, hop up, or if preferred, I'll show the previous, just walk the feet up the wall. That works too. You're here for 5, 4, woo, push from the ribs, 3, belly strong, 2, boat pose, return to the ground, legs up, arms up, yeah, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Handstand, get yourself upside down, however that works best for you. 5, 4, squeeze the belly, 3, 2, 1 more set to complete. 4 in total, so back to your boat pose, this is it. Legs up, arms up. Yeah, you guys, 5, 4, so much more fun to do it together than alone. 3, squeeze the midline, hug the legs together, 2. And then final inversion of your choice. Hop yourself up. Be safe, be smart. 5, 4, Nice, Kyle. 3. It's fun looking at everybody on Zoom upside down. 2. And 1. Come on down to the earth. Let's have a seat. Comfortable. Facing the long edge of your mat. Whew. Right leg out, left foot in. Join your Shavasana. Not only pulling the foot in, the left foot in towards your thigh, but widening the pelvic floor. Yeah. A little cardio. Put the hands on the frame, the right leg. Use the hands to twist, heart towards the right leg. And fold as you exhale. The left hand could cross towards the foot or just the outer leg if you can't quite reach your foot. And bow down. 5 breaths. Inhale, come up. We're going to stay on this side. Cross the right hand to the right hand peace fingers of the right foot. Left arm up and over. Right elbow inside your knee. Use that elbow to push and widen more into the left side. The left hand may touch the right foot. It's not required. Don't push it. Don't force it. If it happens, cool. And keep twisting open through the left ribs. Notice that left hip. That will want to pop up. So part of the job here is to keep your hips as rooted as you can. Final breath. Inhale, friends, come back up, and we'll switch sides so it's easier. You're gonna hold under the knees. That's why I like to switch. Pull the left leg straight out. Draw the right foot in. Adjust the pelvis. Try to widen it behind you. Right, untuck, untuck, untuck. Hold the outsides of the left leg. Straighten the leg. Twist the ribs. Inhale. Exhale, fold. Right hand can cross. And the left hand, you can't really see my left hand very well, that can push down into the ground a little bit back here on the left side of you to help keep the twist going as you descend into your fold. Cool, do the side stretch. So inhale, come up about halfway, just enough to switch the hands, peace fingers to the big toe, left elbow in or left knee. Push with the knee into the arm or into the leg to open the right ribs and reach overhead. Try to prevent lifting the left heel, right? That's a sign of hyperextension, which there are moments where that can be beneficial, but to repeat a lot of hyperextension in our practice can actually eventually have a negative impact on the knees. So you want to root down with that left heel to maximize your practice. Inhale, friends, take the right arm up. We'll go both legs out, so full splits. Doesn't have to be big splits. Okay, I'm just going to do a V shape. If you have a bigger split, you can. I'm going to go pretty simple. Again, widen the pelvis, open the booty. Inhale, lengthen your spine. And then exhale, make your way forward. Hinging at the hips. You're trying to widen your butt back. And eventually you can become a bit more passive, so you're not efforting so much. Just notice that place where maybe you're over pushing, and if that's the case, give yourself a little more lift of the ribs, okay? And then the toes, they're trying to work themselves to point skyward versus rotating in with you. Full breath. Inhale, we'll come all the way up. Stretch your legs to the front of your yoga mat, a little core work in order to lay on our back. So we're gonna lay back, get yourself scooched forward if you need, arms out in front. Scoop the tail under, pull the low belly in. We're gonna lower down slowly for a count of 10. Try to keep your heels rooted. 9, excuse me, 8, 7, 6, 5, halfway. 4, heels stay down. 3, 2, and 1. Lay all the way down, hold the sides of your head, bend the knees in, bicycle crunches, a little core, left and right, opposite elbow, opposite knee, leg extends. Let's go for about 10 more breaths. Stimulating our core, squeezing, squeezing. Try not to overuse the neck. There's some support there with the hands, but it's not Yankee, right? 5, 4, 3, 2. My personal favorite, you guys bring the hands down, both legs up, and just little butt pops. Low core work. Legs up, legs down. 20 seconds. Try not to use the arms too much. Really simple, or utilize the low core. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Bring your feet to the ground. Feet go wide. Windshield wiper your knees. Both go to the right and both go to the left. And let's get the opposite. Let's open up the belly. So bring the feet a bit closer in towards your hips. Bridge pose, gaze straight to the ceiling. Open your throat, roll your shoulder blades on your back and let your hips lift up. This is enough. If you want to go a little deeper, interlace your fingers, roll your shoulder blades on your back. This is the only back bend we'll do today, so if you're feeling spicy and warm and you want to do your full wheel, that would definitely be an option here. Just please be mindful and thoughtful to yourself, to your needs, to your safety. Nice. Good. As you exhale, slowly bring the hips back to the earth. Happy baby. Reach for either the knees or the feet. And do a sway side to side. And again, as I love to teach, any final movements that you need now. So this is your time. If you're ready for Shavasana, go ahead and stretch out. Otherwise, I'm going to continue to hold space here for you to explore your personal practice, as long as it's something you feel safe doing without instruction. Right? Maybe it's an inversion, maybe it's a twist. Maybe what you feel like doing right now is not even a yoga pose. Maybe it's just a shape that would feel really good to you right now. And or Shavasana is here for you at any time. Continuing whatever you're doing, to be thoughtful, to be mindful of the whole of yourself, to this amazing being that you are right here and right now. Nothing to fix, nothing to change. I invite you to find Shavasana when you're ready. If you're in the middle of something that's feeling good, don't rush. As with any Shavasana, when you do create that shape, the invitation is there to support yourself as best as you can. So that might mean putting a t-shirt over your eyes, a blanket on your belly. Any tools that give into this delightful softening of self. Encourage a fantastic unwinding of the old that build the infrastructure and the capacity for what's new, what's to come. This time is yours. You're in your home, you're in your space. If you would like to stay longer, I will leave the music going. Please do not pop up to turn off your device. Just stay as long as you need. Thanks for being here. Please reach out anytime with any questions, if you need anything, any requests for future classes online. Appreciate you guys so much. Have a wonderful evening. Namaste.